Good morning and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View this morning. How do you get rid of a man who will not sell his shares? That's one of the questions that I want to speak about this morning. But before we speak about that, I want to show you some up-to-date pictures of Celtic Park. If I could find them, there we go. Let's just do split screen. This is what Celtic Park currently looks like. It looks like they are getting on well. There is Twitter account that has posted some cracking pictures of the stadium. Some drone pictures. It's starting to come together. Obviously going to show you players that have been at Celtic. 8 trebles. The only thing I know that the inside of Celtic Park needs a good flipping clean. Even the last time I was there at the end of last season, I will be there hopefully in the coming future, that's all I'm saying. But even the stairwells, they used to get painted every year. And that stopped a long time ago. When was the last time that somebody went along with a power washer? And I noticed it's interesting that they only clean the roof, the top of the main stand. They don't bother cleaning the roof sections above anything else, which makes it a bit dull, doesn't it? Creating legends. All it does is tart up the outside, doesn't it? When they had all the banners down, why aren't they giving the building a good clean? You could see the moss and everything on the top of the roof part. But that's what it is, isn't it? It's not ideal, but it does make it look a little bit better. Tell me what you think about it. History makers. Is it inspiring? Does it? Don't know. Does it? There's this bit that's not finished yet. Wonder what they'll have on the North Curve. You wankers. Too early in the morning for that. Anyway, that is Celtic Park and how it currently looks. There's so much more that could be done. That car parking space for the officials and players. Why not just build a multi-storey car park in there? It'd be so much easier. It would be so much easier. But that is what it is, isn't it? You used to be able to get your car park in there when you parked in the lounges. I don't think, can you do that anymore? I'm not too sure. But anyway, we digress this morning. How do you get rid of a person that has 34 point whatever it is % of his shares and he doesn't want to sell them? That's the big issue at Celtic Park that Celtic have just now. Getting rid of anyone on the board. And the reason I'm talking about this is because the owners across the road decided to sack the powers, their top men within the club because they weren't going the right way. Dermot Desmond has no appetite to sack his yes men. They are just merely puppets for him. They have no ambition to overstep the mark when it comes to Dermot Desmond. He runs the club from afar. There was an interesting article this morning talking about an interview that goes back to 2008. And it goes on about the fact that Dermot Desmond does not like journalists. I can get him on that one. Doesn't like speaking to journalists. Doesn't like having his life analysed by journalists. When it comes to people shouting sack the board, his thoughts on it is this is the same people that sing faithful through and through. And are they really faithful through and through? Especially when it comes to backing the club in years that they're not in the Champions League. And then his open letter to the fans about Brendan Rodgers. And you've got to say, talking about throwing your mate under the bus, he completely annihilated Rodgers So I mean, he has no qualms in completely ripping apart anybody that thinks that they're remotely close to him. He'll do whatever it takes, despite only owning 34.7% of shares, which is weird, because let's face it, he's got the money that he could buy up 70% of the shares quite easily. And has it been him that's been secretly buying up the £2 million worth of shares that's been sold over in the last 2 weeks, that's been sold off book? Many Celtic fans call him the absentee landlord, which he is, but how do we get rid of him? That's the question that should be. It shouldn't be about getting rid of the people on the board, because when you get change of owner, the change on the board, the change in the boardroom level, CEO, and that will take place naturally. He has no intention whatsoever of getting rid of anybody that basically does what he says. The fact that they allowed his son to make a squirmish statement at the AGM. I mean, Dermot Desmond said, if it was not for my ambition to be the controlling shareholder, it was not my ambition to be the controlling shareholder, it was not my ambition to be a major shareholder here, because that carries responsibilities over and above just being a shareholder. And most likely the result of being a shareholder of a football club is dog's abuse. It's an absolutely no-one situation. If 1 million people told me to do something, it says I still wouldn't do it. If I didn't feel that something was right, I wouldn't do it. I would take my own counsel. They can shout and scream all they want, but I will not change my opinion if I think it is the right thing for the club. Everything that's done from the club, from the board and the management, we all do because it's in the right interests of the club. It might not be right all the time, but we generally act without self-interest. Where Celtic are enjoying a period of success, the success costs money, requirements, it's difficult decisions need to be made. You didn't see them shouting and singing about things when everything was going well, and we were investing money and making hard decisions behind the scenes. I have to contribute in a way that brings success, and success is not immediate or guaranteed or cautious. The club has a right that we can make people proud. It is totally irrational to get involved in the football club, if you ask me. But I cannot build a club on irrationality. You must have structures, you must have vision, you must have a plan. Tell us the friggin' plan then. That's all we want to know. That is all that we want to know. We want to know the plan. Because right now, Celtic fans do not know the plan. And until we get rid of him, which is never going to happen soon. He's come out in public saying that he doesn't want to sell his shares. He's come out in public and said he doesn't want to sell his shares. So where do we realistically go from here? But anyway, the statement read out by Didi's son just inflamed the situation. It did that. It did that. Well, surely there are other people with shares in the club that can stand up to Desmond. No, because they don't have. He's got the majority shareholders. He's the biggest shareholder. What are you going to do? If you've only got 10% of the shares, he's going to say, "Fuck it, who cares what you think?" Unfortunately, that's the power that he wields over the club. We should always back our team. Yeah, we should always back our team, and we should always back the manager. There's been a lot of speculation about the manager and about the win rate of the new incoming manager. We spoke about it last night, but I'm going to get it up on the screen again, just to show people that maybe never seen the live last night. This is the win rate of managers who have came into Celtic. And this is the top ones. Well, it's just all together, isn't it? This is the top ones. Managers. Joe Venglos had the best win rate before he came to Celtic from Fenerbahce. He had a 65% win rate. Dr. Joe Venglos. Davy Hay, back in 1983 and 1987, he had a 65% win rate with Motherwell. Think about that, a 65% win rate with Motherwell. It just shows you how competitive the league was back in those days. Another one, Billy McNeil, 1978 to 1983, he had a 62% win rate with Aberdeen back in the late 70s and early 80s. And Billy McNeil's probably the first manager that I really remember at Celtic. Him then Davy Hay. So Billy McNeil was the first memory of a Celtic manager that I had. And then you've got Jock Stein. He had a 62% win rate in 1965 to 1978. He was at Celtic, but before he was there, he was at Dunfermline, and he had a 62% win rate. Jimmy McStay in 1940 to 1945, the war years, he was at Alloa Athletic before that, and he had a 60.47% win rate. It's quite a big amount, isn't it? Brendan Rodgers, 2016 to 2019, Liverpool, he only had a 50% win rate at Liverpool. Lou Macari, 1993 to 1994, he was at Celtic, don't talk about it. Even though Lou Macari had a 50% win rate, you know, it's up there amongst the top managers, you could say, at Celtic. But Lou Macari was an absolute nightmare for Celtic. He was woeful. Terrible manager. And if you're a Celtic manager, if you're a Celtic fan during that period of 1993 to 1994, you will know all about discontent. This makes this current period of Sacks the Board looks like, you know, spoiled kids throwing toys at prams. Got to say that. Because Lou Macari was absolutely, in that period of our time at Celtic, was just terrible. Everything was going against us, and everyone wanted us to die off. Ange Postecoglou, he was at Celtic from 2021 to 2023. He had a 49.9% win rate. Neil Lennon, when he was at Hibernian before he came back to Celtic to win 9 in a row, and then the ill-fated 10 in a row, only had a 47.9% win rate. He was sacked. He was sacked by Hibs, and then walked back into the Celtic job. He was sacked by Hibernian. You have to remember that. Sacked by Hibs. Ronnie Dyler, he had a 46.12% win rate. He was at Celtic from 2014-2016. The glory years for away game tickets. The glory years for tickets. It was brilliant. Brendan Rodgers, 23 to 25, after he was sacked by Leicester. He had a 45% win rate at Leicester. He was sacked at Leicester. And it shows you that the two managers, this is something that we've never thought about. The two managers that were brought in to save the club. The two managers that were brought in to save the club. Martin O'Neill. Not Martin O'Neill. Why have we on that? We should be on that screen. The two managers that were brought in to save the club were managers that were deemed Celtic men. Managers that were deemed Celtic men. Neil Lennon, brought back after Brendan Rodgers walked away. Brendan Rodgers was brought back to Celtic to save us, to take us forward again. But he was sacked from Leicester. And both them haven't ended in a great way, have they? So it just shows you that maybe these board members aren't getting it right, if you didn't already know. You know, the managers that have been brought in and not had a lot of pressure on them. Joe Venglos. Okay, didn't win the league, but I mean, Davy Hay, they've all had big win percentages, but the ones that you least expect, it could be the fact that coming in with a 50% win rate from his club, I think he could do well for Celtic, and I don't think that there's anything really to worry about. Ronnie Dyler, Brendan Rodgers, when he came in for Leicester, only had a 45% win rate. He answered the call in the night, as the song went. Brendan Rodgers. Tommy Burns, 42% win rate. Jimmy McGrory, 41% win rate. Tony Mowbray. Jesus, God. It's like there's a pain right in my heart when I see the name Tony Mowbray, because the Tony Mowbray thing was as bad as anything at the time that we went through in the 1990s, and let's not lie about that. It was almost as if we'd stepped back in time. So the man that is at the charge of Celtic, the man that has the most shares, will not sell his shares. What realistic chance do we have of making change at the top? The problem is we keep on bringing Celtic men, that adds more pressure. Davy Hay won the old First Division with well in 1983-84. Yeah, I mean, it's, the Scottish football after 1989 changed forever. We all know why. I mean, people that are old enough will remember. Scottish football changed forever in 1989. Do you know? So, we just leave it at that. We can't go back and change history. We can't give other clubs a rocket up the arse. I mean, look at Hearts are sitting with 10 million in the bank. I think that we could be coming into a period now in Scottish football if Hearts have a prudent transfer window in the next window. They can keep Rangers at bay for second place come the end of the season, because Celtic will ultimately win the league as normal, and then we'll be able to say to them, natural order. Anyway, we do move on. Wim Jansen laid the foundations for Celtic in the 2010s. In the 2010s, that was 10 years after Wim Jansen. That was 10 years after Wim Jansen. The problem is we keep bringing in Celtic men and that has more pressure. Yeah, it kind of does that, doesn't it? But anyway, that came from the Data Boys. If you want to go and follow them, I will put their fantastic Twitter account. If you don't do Twitter, that's why I put it up here. I will put it on the chat and I'll put it in the comment also. They put up stats for Celtic that is just phenomenal. I think there's anybody who's got it. 2000s, yes. Yeah, I'm glad you got that right, mate. Yeah, he did. Yeah. Wim Jansen laid... He made sure that... it was still a time where Fergus McCann was still in control of the club. But it did show that we could beat Rangers with all the money that they were throwing at things. Do you know what I mean? We went through a period of changing the club, building the club to something better than what it is just now. And when you look at the club today, 25, the stadium now is coming on 30 years old. And that's the reality of the situation. When you see the stadium on the outside, there's been phenomenal changes over the years. Absolute phenomenal changes over the years. Taken down, I thought it was criminal that they took down the old school building. That was always meant to be a part of the Celtic history, and it was meant to be the at one point it was going to be the museum and everything, but Celtic decided no, we just want it knocked down. Celtic have got a lot to answer for, because as much as they've been doing right, look at the shop over in the top left hand corner of the screen, the Celtic supermarket. You've got a big area behind that where the Celtic shop was going to ultimately get knocked down, and there was going to be a hotel built in that area. Do you know where the ticket office is? It was meant to be a hotel built. That's never happened. Do you know, there's now no appetite for... There's just... questions like that are the questions that you get answered at an AGM. And now we've lost that opportunity for another 12 months. And that's what really disappointed me about everything at the AGM. And on both sides. Do you know, and there's no use going over old ground, because what is done is done. The Celtic Collective will put out a statement this morning in regards of the way forward with protests and such like. But like I said, when you've got one man that is not interested in what fans say, that is not interested in what media say, doesn't look at social media, you know, you're not going to get Michael Nicholson and on his 900 grand a year sitting on his phone looking at Twitter, are you? No, most definitely not. You maybe get John Paul Taylor looking at it to see what fans are saying and when he's getting tagged and stuff. You may have Celtic media looking at Celtic podcasts to try and do them for copyright. But they never can. It's sad to quote the manager, and it is sad to see the way that Celtic are at the moment, but all blame lies firmly at the place of the board. And I just think it's sad because we now don't have an opportunity for another whole calendar year to get any questions out of them, any answers to any of the questions. And for me, the biggest one is, why has the hotel been binned? You know, you can invest 20 million into Lennoxtown, slap yourself on the back, but you're not going to get a return from that investment for 5 years. And for me, that's not, and that's a hope that you get a return for the investment. That's a hope that you find a player that's going to come through the system, stay at Celtic, and be sold like Kieran Tierney for 25 million. That then repays the investment in Lennoxtown. Not Lennoxtown, sorry, Barrowfield. Was it a waste of money? No, it wasn't a waste of money. It secures the long-term vision of the club to bring through young talent. But I still think to get an immediate impact into Celtic coffers, if you like, even though that they bring out merchandise maybe Celtic have just went, fuck it, we don't need the hotel to bring in money. These clowns are spending 30 million a year on merchandise. We'll see next year, and the thing is we won't even get to know now until next year if what we're doing by not buying merchandise, not another penny, we don't know if it's having an impact. We have no idea if it's having an impact, because they won't tell us. Even if it was having an impact, they wouldn't tell us. It's a sad state of affairs. It's an even sadder one where, when you look at the state of the outside of Celtic Park, I mean, all they're doing is tarting it up with some stickers, you know. Anyway, we digress. Let's check out some Celtic news this morning. There's nothing really going about. I'll jump into the can. It's not the boards. No board is in it for the fans. They're in it for themselves. They get a warning and written and sacked. Yeah. I think that the board, I mean, everyone seems to be at the beck and call of one man, which for me is unacceptable, because Fergus McCann, I wonder how he feels about it, because Fergus McCann wanted to sell the club back to the fans. He wanted to make sure that it could never again be in the hands of one person, and ultimately it's ended up that way, which is unreal. We could bring in Pep as manager, things wouldn't change. It'd be the same. Only thing that would change if DD goes. If someone buys bigger shares than DD's go. But how do you sell? How do you get more shares than him? And that is the biggest issue. That is the biggest issue we've got. Hey, there we go. I'm from Glenoffice, Fifer, now in the USA. Lou McCarty's still my biggest nightmare. Part of the USA, you and mate. Oh, Glenoffice is a dump now, by the way. It's nothing. If you moved 30 years ago, Jesus. So as soon as they got rid of the Glenoffice Development Corporation, put it all into Fife Council, that was the end days of Glenoffice. Paul says, sorry Baz, it was 84-85 Davy who won the old First Division. He was 9th in the Premier League with well following the season. There we go. That's why you don't build a club on debt and EBTs. Yeah. You could say that. But at the same time, when we look at the clubs, when we look at the last 10 to 15 years and we look at the clubs that have put Celtic out of Europe, that's our benchmark. Our benchmark is the clubs that have put us out of Europe at the knockout phase. The qualifying stage, sorry. At the qualifying stage. When you look at the clubs that have put us out, the Champions League, over the years, that's the benchmark that we're against. Clubs, and the board will say, yeah, well, it's the financial thing that's holding us back in Europe. It's not. Over the years, it's been the inability of the board to spend money at the right time. Waiting until we're in the Champions League was always my biggest bugbear. Not with spending money until we got qualified for the Champions League. Because what if we don't qualify for the Champions League? You've then got players on exuberant amount of money. Well, look at what the players are on now. Look at the wage bill now at Celtic, 74 million. Don't know. That's unbelievable. Celtic Park would look so much better with the refurbishment. I think there's a lot that they could do, and I think that there doesn't seem to be a clean and maintenance regime for the exterior and the interior of the building, the stadium. That is not the offices. They'll have their cleaners in there. When the Tim stopped the 10 should never be forgotten. Yeah, he did. Ticket office, Portakabin. Yeah. And that's a sad state of affairs. All these years later, our ticket office is still portakabins that are stitched together. That's not acceptable. That's not accept. I mean, there's questions like that. When are we getting rid of these fucking old portakabins? It's not a ticket office. It's a load of portakabins that have been shoved together. And they've been like that for what, 10 years now? Must be at least 10 years. The portakabins are bound to be past their sell-by date. The floors are about to be starting to rot in them underneath. Hearts built a hotel in front of their stand. We should be doing the same. Yeah. I've said before that the hotel is a no-brainer. It brings an instant income stream. And it gives you an income stream 7 days a week. You know, the hotel then gets let out for events, conferences. Hotel at Celtic Park would be a moneymaker, but it would not benefit the team. Well, it would benefit the team because it gives the club more money to spend on players. And if the hotel wasn't in profit, you sack the management that's running the hotel until they make it in profit. You put people in that know how to run hotels. Well, maybe that's the issue at Celtic, is that Celtic, and maybe that's why they're not building a hotel, because they would have to give overall. Dermot Desmond couldn't come in and say, "You're not fucking running the hotel right." What the fuck do you know about running hotels, mate? Are you on the floor every day at a hotel? The pressure Wim was under. He had Jock Brown trying to sabotage him at every turn. What a season. Yes, you remember Jock Brown? Oh man. The time that Celtic brought in a reporter, a media guy. Yep, you're right, mate. 2 people run socials and 28 of them are searching for copyright stuff daily. Oh, you're right. Tell you. You're right about that. Feel sorry for the new manager. Doesn't really have a chance coming in with the support calling for the board to be sacked. But hopefully he gets the transfers he wants. Who give a fuck about hotels, to be honest? Do you give a fuck about portakabins as a ticket office for over 10 years. Just saying. We need to get our priorities right before hotels. We've got 80 million in the bank. We've had more than enough money over the years to be able to build a hotel. Do you know, we should we have spent all the money that we should have on Lennoxtown then? Do you know, there's money there, and to say that there's not, Baz must be demoralising when the board care about his profit. No, I don't think it's demoralising. I just think that the Celtic fans now want answers. Celtic fans want answers of the way forward. There may be in-house some kind of 1 to 2 year plan, but there doesn't seem to be a 3 or 5 year plan at Celtic. I think there was before COVID. Do you know there was a plan that we got the planning permission for the hotel that was to be built within a 3 year period. COVID struck, it never kind of happened. It kind of all burnt out then. COVID had an impact on the business, and they obviously changed the plan that they had, if any. And all that Celtic fans want now is to basically know what is a 3 to 5 year plan, if any. But all the board will come out and say, well, the plan is to be the dominant force. And this goes back to AGM after AGM after AGM. Peter Lawwell stood up at Celtic and said, the plan at Celtic is to be the dominant force in Scottish football and to try and get into Europe, because Europe's a bonus. That was Peter Lawwell's own words for years at Celtic AGMs. And Celtic fans now are just completely sick of it. Personally, I feel that KT being sold to Arsenal paid for Barrowfield. That was years ago, mate, though. We didn't invest the cash in the squad at the time, remember correctly. I mean, that was 2019 that he was sold. So, I mean, Barrowfield was funded over the last couple of years. I just think that the whole Barrowfield thing, the fact that it's going to take a minimum of 5 years for it to produce anything, and that was Brendan Rodgers' own words. He said that there's nothing coming through the academy now for the next 5 years, because he knows that there's nobody coming through the academy that's of a Kieran Tierney type player. There's not even boys coming through the academy that are getting a chance in the first team because they're not deemed good enough. The ones that were deemed good enough were allowed to leave Celtic because there's no pathway. And Brendan Rodgers, we've now got a B team that's full of 16 and 17 year olds. So you're talking about a 3 to 4 year period before they're first team ready. That's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. And especially because the board will then use Barrowfield as a tax deductible element. They'll say, well, that isn't making us money, it's just we're spending money on that, so they'll use it as a tax deductible part of the business. Hotel would really make money on match days due to the crap location to the city and its transport links. I don't think so. I think that you would get people that are football fans or people that was coming to stay at the city. It has been said that football stadiums that do have hotels outside it, people will come for one night just to stay at the Celtic hotel. Do you know? So anyway, we spent around 60 million to replace KT. McCann must be disgusted at what's happened to Celtic. I think he would be. And like I say, every single year at Celtic under McCann, in the early years of the current board, you would get a complete cleaning of the inside of the stadium. The stairwells would be painted every year. That seems to have stopped a long time ago at Celtic. Do you know? And it's just simple things. I like a power wash and a lick of paint goes a long way to make somewhere look half decent. When you stop that power wash and a lick of paint, do you know, you're thinking, what the fuck? The board has always been about living within our means instead ahead of our rivals. Yeah, that's it. But is that acceptable? When you've had 20... Look, we can now look back on pretty much 20 years of domination. 20 years of wasted opportunity. Over that 20-year period where all we've been worrying about has been dominant in Scotland, a certain club in Scotland has got to the later stages of Europa. Is that not embarrassing? Do you know, as Celtic fans, we should be going, what the fuck and how are they doing that and we're not? With the money that we've had over the years. 20 years of domination. If all you want as a Celtic fan is to be dominant in Scotland, beat Rangers 4 times a season, and fucking be all jolly, that's fine. But I don't think it is. Do you know? Hotel with functions 365 days a year, birthdays, anniversaries, communions. Yeah, exactly. People want to get married at the hotel. People get married inside Celtic Park as it is. You would get an unbelievable amount of Celtic fans going, we're getting married at Celtic Park. We're getting married at the hotel at Celtic Park. That's it. Do you know? I think it would be good. What's the bets today? I have no idea what the bets is today. His Quinny, I didn't even want to talk about his replacements. Oh, John Joe Kenny. Oh, ball and goalie. Don't. You're ruining my morning, mate. It was bad enough when I had to talk about ex-Celtic managers that like ruined my youth. And you know want to talk about players. I mean, there's Liam Brady's of the world. I don't know, who came in with a 50% win rate. It's bad enough that I've got to open my heart back up in my memory to those terrible years of Liam Brady. You now want to come into the chat and tell us about players that have been woeful over the years for us. I've just finished my coffee. If you combine the current shareholders to merge in a total of 51%, you would get a controlling stake to become the owner. Yeah, I don't think that that's... I don't think that that's the way it works, because the shares are all individual. I'm not sure how that would work, because then you would then have a committee, and then you would be then fan base run. And is that the way that we want to go down? Do you want to be run by the fan base? I'm just saying. Don't know, nothing against the fan base, but Bethlehem, USA, Glenoffice has always been a dump. Or is John? No, it wasn't. Back in the 70s and early 80s, it was a beautiful new town. It was gorgeous. We had just loads of roundabouts, square buildings. But they knocked down all the flats. I don't know when the last time you were back in Glenoffice, but they knocked down all the flats up Tans Hall and everything. It looks a completely different town now. It's all new builds. Just new builds everywhere. I don't remember us having a big window off the back of selling KT. No, we didn't. The Collective has 62%. Can they not force them out? The Collective has 62% of shares? Do they? Quinny, could you confirm that? I mean, if the Collective had 62% of shares, maybe that's why there was no votes. If the Collective do have 65% of the shares, then the voting at the AGM was done through an online platform. So unless the votes are rigged, they should all be getting voted out then. The current board will not be voted in, if that's the case. But I can't see it. The only person that was willing to invest is Snoop Dogg. Did you see Cowden Beef's? Let me see if I can see Cowden Beef's Twitter. If you haven't seen Cowden Beef's Twitter, it's the funniest thing ever. Let me just see if I could find it. I need to get it, because they were talking about Snoop Dogg was in town. It is one of the funnier statements. Talking about the fact that Celtic Ultras were in town. Going to be FC. I get this on the screen. This is quality. Celtic Ultras letting off pyro. Our Count Beath, always brilliant. Full time, right? Let's just see, where is it? There's a statement that they put out. Pitch invasion. Pitch inspection. Count Beath, please. Where's the link? Tell me they put it on one of their other social media platforms. Let's see who sent me it. I'll try and find it. I'll put it up in the community tab. But yeah, it's quite funny talking about the pyro that was let off at the game today, and Snoop Dogg was in town. But yeah, the only person willing to invest is Snoop Dogg. By the way, for those who don't know, Lawwell owns about 10% of Celtic. I don't think he owns as much as that. Does he? I don't think he owns 10%. Build a hotel. Lawwell won't let us build a team. As soon as we've got something decent coming together, Lawwell says eyes up and they're sold. Hotel would be great for protesters to stay. They would end up just having a sleep in. They would just like, we're not leaving. Squatters' rights. On point hotel. Imagine football Wayne's team deciding on a function for the suite, end of season awards, etc. Imagine 10-year-olds getting your award at Celtic Park. Great potential in the hotel. I think so. But I've been an advocate of the hotel for years. And I've also been an advocate of getting rid of the ticket office as a porta cabin. That was meant to be a short-term answer. It was meant to be a short-term answer. Porta cabins. And here we are. At least, I can't remember when the porta cabins were. It was at least 2015. Must be at least 10 years ago. Easily 10 years ago. Has anyone called Bertie Vokes? No, not yet. Paul said he was married 9 years ago. Nancy's quality from a better league. His team's attack. Have a go. Yeah, defence is important. Who wants to watch shite pass it back stuff? I think that we should start to get excited. I mean, I was excited. It was Monday morning yesterday. I was excited about the new manager coming in. I mean, the chat was all about that. We'd finally got things rolling with Wilfried Nancy to bring him over. If it has been the case, and it's such a Celtic way to do things, they've obviously spoke to his agent, and his agents went, do you know what, see if you can just hang off till December. If you can hang off till December, you can get him a little bit cheaper. There's not as much money to pay out. If that is the case, it's such a Celtic thing to do. The London Road Nursery came down in late 2012 from the Commonwealth Games, so the ticket office came down then. Wow, that's even longer than what I thought then. Holy, that's even longer. Wow. Well, there we go then. Christ, if you push the ticket office, it'll fall over. Like, poke holes through it with your fingers. Wow. So you're talking around about then? Yeah, because that's when the Celtic way and everything would have been first thing, yeah. Jesus. That's a long time ago, isn't it? A long, long time ago. Just shows you how quick years go. Looking forward to seeing Nancy come in, and hopefully he gets the powers to bring in 7 quality players. I think we need at least 7 in the next window. At least 7. When you look at the injuries in the squad just now, we're bringing in players for the end of this season, but we're also bringing in players that hopefully will be good enough to get us into the Champions League. And then when you bring back the players that are injured towards the end of the season, I think we'll have a cracking squad again. And at that point in the season, hopefully we're on the road to winning another title. Hopefully we'll have had 1 trophy already in the bag. I mean, imagine Wilfried Nancy comes in and wins a treble. Could you imagine it? That would be pub quiz question stuff for years to come. Name the Celtic manager that came in December and won a treble. Do you know, it'll be one of those crazy pub questions in 20, 30 years' time. Name the manager. Right, next question. Name the manager who joined Celtic on the 1st of December and won a treble. It's fucking easy. It's that nonsense. There's no fucking O in his name. There's an A. Why are they pronouncing it with an O? That's what I want to know. There's an A in his name. Anyway, that's a different question for a different day. It's alright bringing in 7 players, but most of them must be class. Baz, the tickets office was in the main building lined up to get tickets. Yeah, no. No, it wasn't in the main building. It was across from the main building. It was across from the building outside. That's where the ticket office... Maybe it was in the main building a long time ago, but I always remember the ticket office being directly across from the main stand. The entrance. Used to go down... Used to queue around the building, round the wall that went down towards the school. Used to queue going down the road, which is now the road. You remember the main road that used to drive up into Celtic Park, and then it was all car park. It was all car park at the side. You used to queue down that road because the ticket office was just on the corner. Used to open up the toilets in that building. They used to open up the toilets, yeah, they did. Scary to think it'll be our 3rd or 4th manager before Christmas, if you count Maloney and Martin O'Neill. Third or 4th? It'll be our 3rd. Not be 4th. Because it's only been Brendan and Martin O'Neill. See, I don't trust the French, mate. They're shit drivers. They're just weird. I see enough of them over here with their French number plates. I don't trust them. They're weird. Just, if anybody French is out there, apologies, but these are all freaks. How do we have so much coin in the bank and act like an amateur outfit? I have no idea. It's a rainy day fund, isn't it? That's the only way to look at it. I was involved in running the snack van on the corner, the kid Ale Street, for years. There we go. That's where all the coin went to. No VAT. I'm not saying that. Baz, I stood there to get tickets. Stories I could tell you. I know. I know, totally am. French backed us in the Great Revolution. Yeah, that was a long time ago. But at the end of the day, Scotland voted no to its own independence. At least French fought the English to keep theirs. French don't trust fifers. That's alright. Because we stood against them to fight again. Anyway, that's me done and dusted for this morning. We always seem to go off like on a tangent towards the end of the videos, don't we? Which is always good, you know. Tuesday morning, we are just waiting on Celtic making some kind of announcement. Will Celtic make an announcement today that ultimately we have a new manager? I doubt it. Just the way that the club works. Will they make one tomorrow as Martin O'Neill takes to the stage to talk about heading off to Holland? Martin O'Neill's last game in European context for Celtic, and then it'll be saying goodbye to him. Will he be kept on? I doubt it. It's not the board's style, is it? Many of us would like Martin O'Neill to be kept on in some capacity because, let's face it, Martin O'Neill is the one person who could maybe just... And anyway, who's the... I still think it's Ronnie Dyler. Somebody said to me last night that the member of staff that's coming in that has a Celtic connection and knows Scottish football, somebody said it's Ronnie Dyler. I'm just saying. It wasn't me that said it. Before anyone says, I did not say it. Someone texted me it last night saying that what if it's Ronnie Dyler that comes in on his staff? Anyway, just to keep you all excited this morning. Have a fantastic day, Celtic fans. Thank you to the whole 1,025 people that have been on the live so far this morning. I shall see you this evening, unless Celtic make an announcement. On that note, have a fantastic day wherever you are, all around the world.